time for Veterans Issues, the show that brings you information about veterans, military, and their family. Now here's your host, Ken Rollins.
Welcome to Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins here, and we are brought to you by the Red, White, and Blue. Today we've got two guests here, and we're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to all of our hearts, especially you veterans out there, you spouses. Get this information for them, and we'll be right back. We're going to talk with Jim Williams, and we're going to talk with James Jenkins. So stay where you are. We're going to talk about NARFE. Be right back. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins here, and today we're talking about NARFE. It's the, I got to make sure I do this because I always put the wrong word in there. National Active Retired Federal Employees Association. We're going to talk about NARFE instead of that. So welcome to the show, James Jenkins and Jim Williams. Dr. Williams, we appreciate you've been on here before. I don't think James has ever been on here before, but this is the first step to Hollywood after here. But today we're talking about something that's very serious that anybody that's a retiree or a veteran needs to pay attention to what's going on down in the good state of Alabama in Montgomery. And we've got, first of all, I want to, the folks that's just tuning in don't know about NARFE. Just a brief, what is that? Just
well, National Active and Retired Federal Employees is the advocacy group at the national level for active and retired federal civilian employees. But the interests of NARFE and our concerns cover the whole federal community, civilian and military, and likewise we're concerned about the welfare of the community at large.
You're talking about Social Security retirees, you're talking about post office retirees, depot, Fort McClellan, all these. If anybody's ever worked as a federal employee and active, those that are working now.
Correct.
Right. Mm-hmm. And to better say, well, these people is watching us, what is it to them? There is a lot of stuff happens that if it wasn't for advocacy groups, and going back to unions, people that wouldn't go in mass numbers to protest something. A lot of stuff, bad stuff happens, and in this case, I was talking in agreement. We're facing a couple of bad things for veterans down in Montgomery as we sit here today. So, James, I've known James for buku years. I had lost track of him, but James is you're an EA, you're a Master Tax Advisor for H&R Block. What's an EA?
That's an enrolled agent.
Okay, for
That's
IRS?
for the IRS, yes.
I don't like them words. I told somebody yesterday, I asked a question. I said, if you opened your door and you saw a sheriff or a policeman, ATF, IRS, FBI, which one would you be the most fear of? Everybody tells me IRS. That's a smart answer too, because even some of the old gangsters back in the roaring 20s got brought down. They couldn't do it by the other stuff. They got them with the IRS, the Internal Revenue stuff. Anyhow, getting off of that thing. But James, this I'm going to ask you about this. It's if I get that bill number, is it SB 409?
SB 409.
And that's a bill, Senate bill. It's floating around Montgomery right now. A lot of hoopla going about today as we're taping this show. There's a lot of action going on about it down there now. Tell me what the bill's about. I know, but I want you to tell them.
You know what it's called is the Fair Tax Act, and which sounds real good because everybody wants to improve the tax system and have a fair tax. But whenever you start changing the laws, then there's always problems. It's going to help some people, hurt some people. This law, as it's originally written, really does hurt low income people, and it really hurts retirees in Alabama.
Well, I was watching Governor Huckabee make his announcement for running for president as I left home. One of the things that the people stood up for was the word fair tax. He's for a fair tax. And you're telling me, and I don't know about that, so you're telling me and the people out here that a fair tax will hurt the little guy?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying this bill, which is called the Fair Tax.
It's called the Fair, okay.
Right. It's not what Governor Huckabee is talking about.
Okay.
His plan is entirely different. This is the bill that's just in committee in Alabama, and it's for the Alabama income tax, not anything to do with federal tax.
So it would affect me as a veteran, a retiree from the depot. It would,
Right.
it would affect, how would it affect me negatively?
Negatively in that, right now, retirees in Alabama do have some good benefits, and that most of their income is not taxed to Alabama. And a lot of retirees don't even have to file an Alabama return. Now, under this program, a lot of people that don't have to file one right now, retirees, and a lot of low-income people that don't have to file one right now, would be required to file a tax return for Alabama, and their tax bill for Alabama is going to go up.
Wow. Why does it always get the little guys, huh? Jim?
Well, and this goes back to, again, the conversation we were having earlier. When Governor Bentley announced that the state was basically broke and said that we were going to have to raise revenue, two things that he particularly mentioned in his initial public statement on that were eliminating existing exemptions on pensions and annuities, and also eliminating the deductions for or exemptions for federal income taxes paid. Well, our particular concern here is the elimination of those exemptions on pensions and annuities, because basically we have a very large number of people in Alabama, like James was saying, who currently pay no income tax simply because their only income is retirement. Now, this affects not only government employees, but anybody who's got a pension from a private company. So, whereas up to this point, and a lot of these people, if you go back years and years ago, they got their retirement, their pension was small. It was based on what was good at that point in time.
Right.
But if you go back 30 years ago, what was good 30 years ago isn't very good today. And so, so they're basically getting by on that pension that they got 30 years ago. That's their sole income. They can't go out and get another job to earn more money.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, they're going to be paying taxes on all of that income that they receive as pensions. And I did looked at Colorado, which also has a flat tax. The difference between the way that Colorado has it and what's proposed in this bill, it would cost somebody who has an income of $20,000 $550 in taxes that they don't pay now, compared to somebody in Colorado.
If you're making $20,000 a year, and that's poverty as far as I'm concerned, and they hit you another $500. You said something, James. What is the flat tax and the fair tax? What's the difference from those two?
No, I couldn't explain that.
Okay, but the fair tax, when you said that what Huckabee's saying versus what this bill SB 409 is doing are not the one and the same.
No.
So where is it different? I didn't get the difference between what he's saying and
I would have to look at what
fair
he's
tax.
saying, so I really couldn't discuss that. But this particular tax, as far as Alabama is concerned, is there are different kind of retirement plans. There's the defined.
Okay, let's hold that
Okay.
thought, because we got to go to a break here. We got to
Okay.
pay the bill. Come back, we're going to talk more about this. You folks get your pen out there. You need to stay on top of this. Be right back, right after this. Welcome back to Veterans Issues, and we're talking to James Jenkins, Jim Williams, and we're talking about Senate Bill 409 that it's a tax. I don't even know how to even refer to it anymore, because the folks that this is just for Alabama. This is not nationwide, not a nationwide that somebody running for president say, I'll run on this. This is just an Alabama thing.
That's right.
And to give the folks out there kind of a feel for why we're here today talking about this is sometimes these people, the senators and legislators, the representatives, they have the good things in their heart. They really want to do the best thing for the state of Alabama. And they say, here's a way that we can do this, and but they don't realize sometimes the repercussions of all the things. For example, we got a HB 533 that was introduced by a representative that's new in the House. And all it does is does away with our 4 veterans homes in the state of Alabama. Just no money for them, that they have to shut down. We would immediately have to put 704 veterans back out on the street or back in their homes or something, because we'd have no place for them. Can't pay for it. We would have to shut down the cemetery that we built down in Fairhope for the Alabama State Cemetery. The GI Bill, the Alabama GI Bill that we have that sends kids through college if their family member joined the service in Alabama. All the things that we got, all these Department of Veterans Affairs offices we got in all 67 counties, shut them down because this person went in just like with SB 409 with good intentions. Here's some money. I can help out the budget. We got to bring in all the money, but in the meantime, let's just close down these 4 veterans homes and let's put those people out on the street. They fought and earned this, but let's put them out on the street. He didn't intend to do that, but we've got to have people like NARFE that will shake the chain and jerk the chain and say, hey, this SB 409 is not going to do what you want it to do. Is that a fair statement there?
It'd be fair. Maybe we ought to call it a simplified tax, because that's what they're terming it, really. It's a lot simpler tax form than the current Alabama tax form, where you can, where different things are deductible. You can itemize and to take care of a lot of your income, so it will not be taxed. None of your Social Security is taxed right now on Alabama return. None of the defined benefit retirement plans are taxed right now in Alabama return. So it is a simplified tax. And the original bill just said take the adjusted gross income off your federal income tax form, and they ended up saying subtract any gifts to charity and then multiply the answer by 2 3/4%. And that would be your Alabama tax. So that really hurts low-income people. It really hurts retirees, because you lose all of your deductions except the gifts to charity, and you lose your pension income that you were taken out of your adjusted gross income of your federal tax return.
You always coming after the people that put the money in the system. Those that didn't put any money in, you get all kind of stuff. But when I worked, I paid Medicare and I paid all the things that I didn't want to pay out, but I did pay into it, and I paid the Social Security in it and all the things. But then it's like these are the first places they go after. The people that work for a living, got a little bit income coming in that takes you above the poverty level, but not much better. But when you talk about the lower income, I think that's probably what you're talking about. They're not into poverty level, but they're just keeping the wolves away from the door. And now they add another $500 onto that. And we went through that with an ad valorem tax one time when they just decided, okay, these disabled veterans and these elderly has got to pay it again. And it hit hard. When you add another $1,200 to somebody, a widow's tax bill, that hurts. And her words were, which broke my heart. She told the tax assessor, I've got to make a decision. I got to get my medicine or pay my taxes. Get my medicine or pay my taxes.
Ken, let me emphasize on this. One of the other problems with this bill, as we see it, is that currently, in fact, just within the last couple of years, Alabama raised the minimum amount that you had to make before you owed any state tax at all. I think it was up to $14,600 something. Does that sound about right, James?
It's less than that.
Less than that.
But it's.
But in any case, what this does, it completely eliminates that threshold. So the first dollar that of income that you have, all of a sudden becomes subject to this tax, which again, that's really going to hurt the people at the bottom end, because they're going to be paying tax where we're talking about thousands of people here who've has such a low income that they have not owed any tax. All of a sudden, basically everything that they get is going to be taxable.
The tax return, your Alabama tax return right now, if you're filing a married filing joint return, $3,000 is automatically deductible, and then either $300 up to $1,000 per child is deductible. All of your federal taxes that you pay are deductible. All of that's eliminated under this proposed plan.
If I'm hearing right, and I'm not the authority on this, I'm just the guy shaking the chains in Montgomery, would it affect the teachers?
Oh, absolutely. Anybody anybody, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to have James here as a tax professional, because I had questions in my own mind. Basically, if you receive a retirement annuity in the state of Alabama, it's going to be taxed under this plan.
Wow. I was talking to the Commissioner of Department of Veterans Affairs this morning, and he just kind of, at the end of our conversation, he said, and the teachers just found out that it's hitting them, they're calling for a public hearing. And I don't know, that I didn't have enough time to spend to get all the details about it. But, you know, what I was hearing James saying, and you're talking about the lower income, and gosh knows there's not many teachers up there that's in the Fortune 500, you know, that's done it. They just worked all those years and put up all that stress and taught our children. And now they got one more thing to fight away, and as if they wasn't fighting enough already. And that's, we're not here fighting for the teachers, we're more talking about veterans and that kind of thing. But anybody, now people need to just remember that SB 409 is all it is, Senate Bill 409. You want to make a phone call to your state representative, you want to call, it's a Senate bill, but you want to talk to Randy Wood, Steve Hurst, K.L. Brown, all those people. You also want to talk to Senator Dale Marsh. You want to make sure that this thing is beat down, and they go back to the shed and get this stuff worked out that takes out, you know, the bill that I was talking about where they're going to close down the Fort Veterans Home. They've gone back now, they're going to redraw it with an amendment and remove the stuff that was going to shut down our Veterans Home and all that. But that's what you may have to do, you know, SB 409, they may have to go back and look at what they've thrown out there, with good intentions, by the way. So. Well,
and the one thing I would like to add about that is that there is an amendment proposed, or at least it was circulating, that would remove would leave the exemptions for defined benefit pensions. That will not help the other people who are still working and in low income brackets.
All right, we're down to a minute, and I want to make sure I get anything. James, did I leave anything else I need to you need to touch on?
No, I don't believe so. I think, you know, I do agree that they probably were looking at something they thought would help everybody, yeah. But it just, you know, they just need to look a lot closer at it and review it and make some changes before they do anything with it.
Yeah.
I'd just like to call attention to the fact that this, the 3rd through the 9th of May is Public Service Recognition Week. So if you know a public servant of any kind, please say thank you.
Our lawyer down there in Montgomery told me that's what we are. I'm under the ethics laws that Dale Marsh is on and everything, so I guess thank you very much for that. I appreciate you coming on that. And if we may have to visit this again. We got to go to a break, come back. I got news that you can use. Stay there and get a pen. Right back. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. I appreciate James and Jim coming in today and talking to us about that SB 409. If you know your representative, your senator, pick up the phone now and give them a call at home, call them at their office, whatever. Leave a message that you want them to go back and look at that, because this is something that's going to hurt a lot of people. And as we said in our discussion, I don't think there was any intent to do that, but they need to go back and revisit what they put out there. This is Law Enforcement Week that we're looking at, the 11th through the 16th, or 11th through the 15th. On the 12th at 8 p.m. at Oxford Lake, we'll have a candlelight vigil at Oxford Lake on the 12th at 8 p.m. And then on the 15th at 6 p.m. up in Centennial Memorial Park, they'll have the ceremony up there that they have every year, and it's very moving. And here's what I want to throw at you. We got so much going on now with the anti-police and anti-this and anti-that, and the police are bad guys. They would love to look in the audience and see somebody besides policemen, law enforcement. I go up there, I'm not law enforcement, but I always go. I go to every one of them just to say, I appreciate you. How better can you do that than to be in the audience of their ceremony, that they remember what they do up there is remember those 24 from Calhoun County that was killed in the line of duty. So mark that off at 6 o'clock on the 15th, 8 o'clock on the 12th to go down to Oxford Lake, light a candle. That you don't have to go up to an officer and say, I appreciate your service. You can do that by showing up, and I would appreciate you doing that. And I'm going to be there at both of them if I can, good Lord willing. I showed you my driver's license a couple weeks ago with the word veteran on the corner of it. If you got that, Lowe's here in Oxford, I know, honors that. So does a lot of your restaurants. I'm not going to name all of them, but Applebee's does. I know that Golden Corral, all that. The word veteran can be put on your driver's license. That law was passed 2 years ago, and you can go down to wherever you get your tag. Get your license. State Troopers in Jacksonville is a good place. Take your DD-214. It's $18 to have it put on there. You'll probably save that on your first buy of lumber down at Lowe's. But if it's time to renew your license, it don't cost you anything. So just take your DD-214 with you when you go to get your driver's license, have that put on there. Make sure that you use this new contact number that I've been using. It's 256-239-9234. You'll get me a lot quicker. And I don't think anybody has any problem reaching me. The one thing I do want to say is this show is, you heard me mention earlier that we tape it. We're taping the show. Because sometime when the show's airing, and some days I don't even know what days it airs, whatever, but I'll get a phone call, I'm on the road, and somebody will say, am I on the air? And they call in, and they think it because they're, and then one fella called me the other day, and he said, how am I talking to you in your car, and you're on I'm looking at you on television. Well, that's the magic of television, I guess you could. But anyhow, we do tape it, so you can't call into the show, but you can call me at that number. And if you got information for a guest you'd like to see on here, I stay pretty well booked, but always got room. We'll make room if you got an interesting person. Now, I want to mention the pay it forward. I always talk about that because paying it forward is a blessing for you and the person in front or behind you. I got to do that again this morning. I was privileged to do that down at Dunkin' Donuts. And when you tell them that you want to pay for the person in front of you or the person behind you, you're going to make their day, you're going to make your day. And I got some stories I could swap with you that I've experienced over doing that. So just take a few bucks and do that. Pay it forward wherever you are. You can pay it forward another way. A car trying to pull out of the driveway and pull in front of you, stop, back up, hold all them other 10 cars behind you, let that car out. You just paid it forward. So keep that in mind. So next week, and then I see you here. This salute this week goes out to the women behind the badge. That's the women that wait on them to come home, get them off ready to go to work. And the women of the law enforcement. We'll see you next week here on Veterans Issues. Salute.